top lane that this is a flex. Geomung does play Kalista bot, but Morgan is a good enough top laner that I'd say WE are flexing their muscle on this one.
And this is where you are a bit up in the air for FPX. What way do you want to try and play this? Are we going to assume that this is going bot and pick stuff that can do well into it? Or think that this is a top lane pick that we can deal with later on in the draft?
But you notice how straight away it's into the Varus. It's no shenanigans here. LWX and Chris played a great Varus Tahm-Kench lane. And Frostgren said this best on the world stage, that in the LPL, Tahm-Kench is not a defensive lane. Tahm-Kench is used for diving and much about FPX's playstyle, but so is their Aatrox, which they picked a lot for Gimgoon in the past.
I like having Gimgoon on this Aatrox, because the thing that people seem to forget is that just because Gimgoon's a weak side top laner does not mean he's a weak player.
Yep.
Gimgoon can most certainly control these lanes, and Aatrox is the pick you take into the top lane when you want to go aggressive.
All right, we see one comfort pick, and it's another here for Chris. This is the FPX draft of 2019 already set up. While for WE, Plex on some comfort here in the Zoe. I do like seeing the Zoe blind, especially for a player like Plex, who's had weaker laning phases.
Junglers have not been selected though, and when we're talking about FPX liking to rotate that on this first pickup, not having that is a very different style here. So I want to see now if both sides are going to prioritize jungle bans and where we land on our list.
Well, Olaf with the first one. The second one, what else is available, Dagda? What am I thinking of here? Jarvan, as we saw in the last series.
Doinby's Rise is still up if we want to still be looking towards mid lane bans and stuff, you know. But I think as well, yeah, look, Elise is still on the board, Rek'Sai is still on the board as well.
Okay.
But it looks like they've been watching that last game from Zhao Xiang, and they're going to ban away the Fiora to make sure there's no pesky Fioras.
Yeah, let's not have that matchup again. That's very fair of Gimgoon and limits options here. We still don't know where that Kalista's going, but we can make the assumption of bot for now. Rumble, the final ban of WE, and towards Doomby, who has been spamming that alongside Rookie. That's another one off the board.
So Jarvan and Rek'Sai are the two that are still up. Could potentially see the Jarvan locked in here. Funny enough, FPX are the only team to really play Rumble without that Jarvan in the lane as well. Yep. So it's just a Doinby special. But we are going to see the Jarvan locked in anyway, despite the Rumble being
Yeah, now it's the Jarvan without the Rumble.
Never one without the other.
No, that's right. I would one day again like to see Tien's Elise. I think that was actually exceptional. Now, you're pointing at this Echo. Don't be cheeky. Just tell me why.
Because Beishang has played Echo before. This has been this jungle. Oh, come on. I was getting
you shouldn't
excited.
have turned your head. And now we have an Irelia. So I know that you wanted to talk about what works well with Sejuani. Let's pause on that because we will have a quick discussion about the Irelia pairing with Sejuani, as we saw a lot last year and the year before, I believe. Doomby's been playing Kassadin. This is not a drill.
I got nothing to add on to that. It's not a drill.
It's literally not a drill. This could be a hover any other draft. But Doomby has played a lot of Kassadin. Yeah, 100% win rate because he and... Who else was it? Was it... Who's the mid laner of Suning? Angel.
Angel, yeah.
Angel played it. Hello, I got there in the end.
There we go.
So, Dagda, it's your time to shine. Tell me FPX's draft.
Well, look, FPX are all about these side lanes right now. You've got the Varus to help clear out waves. If you find yourselves in a man advantage scenario, you've got Tien to try and be that engaged tool to set up for Doinby, for Gimgoon if they want to play these flanks, but they can always just go to the sides. They don't even have to look for a fight with the whole composition if they want. On the opposite, for Team WE, they're very much going for these team fight scenarios, and I like what they're pairing with here. Most of the time when we go towards Sejuani, you want to have a bit more of those melee champions there, so that's why we're actually looking at it potentially for Junji in the last game, because Scouts in love with the likes of Silas's and Kiana's and all these, and even the Pantheons, that can work quite well with it. You've only got the Aurelia here to try and proc that.
But I mean, I was doing my notes on Morgan, and I wanted to know a little bit more about him. He does have a very large champion pool for a top laner. Things like the set sit so well with him. I mean, the Fiora is definitely not out of his grasp. So I think new top laners will be going, okay, Morgan's a real threat. Even established top laners like the Shy and Gimgoon. So I like to see that there's priority towards banning him out in the series, but also that Irelia is going to be a new champion for him up in that top lane.
And now it feeds in again to, hey, look, if we get Morgan ahead, this guy can work. This guy can get those plays down to the bottom side that we've seen 2 or 3 times now, or even just look to take over the lane himself.
And you're right, the ability to focus top side with Irelia and Sejuani. Gimgoon I think we call him weak side again here, Dagda. What's the usual? Where the ability to focus bot is set up again for FPX. This is Gimgoon in the roster. Khan not available. Let's see if FPX return to their roots or if WE can slam them where it hurts.
Returning to roots is a bit of a hard one for FPX in this. We talked about the reason dонести was able to make these forward-man dives happen was because we saw him in picks like Nautilus, like the Rumble, where he could push in this lane and start to make the roams happen.
Very true.
When Plex is on this Zoe and dонести's on this Kassadin, no way he'll be able to push in effectively to make this happen.
Hey, let's talk runes though quickly, okay?
Okay.
Let's start with dонести. Fleet footwork on the Kassadin.
Pretty staple.
Now, let's talk LWX. Hailer Blades on Varus. Now, we're going to talk about a couple of Varuses. We've seen Lethal Tempo, we've seen Comet, and Hailer Blades is a new one.
So the reason Varus has gone Hailer Blades of this is because of the trade pattern that comes through from Kalista. Kalista is very quick trying to get in your face. She wants to stack a couple of Ren stacks into a minion, come up to trade with you, and then have her own Hailer, well, usually Hailer Blades proc to win out the trade, make the rend happen, and then you've got the rend back and available because you killed that minion you previously set up.
Isn't it kind of funny? Because it's like they've swapped runes.
Yeah, exactly. And now that LWX has this, he's looking to just get that really quick burst of trades, 3 autos off, and proc his own passive using the likes of the Hail of Arrows. Now, with this swapping up a little bit, I think Jomung won't be able to trade as heavily into this lane as he would have liked to, but already you can see Missy.
Wow, okay. Hailer Blades and Hailer Arrows. Yeah, pretty right about that one, Dagda. Missing is at half health.
And now he's going to be a little bit more scared about how he tries to approach this lane. You said already Tahm Kench much more of an aggressive pick here. So potentially, if Missing is low enough or Jomung is low enough, they just go for the dive with TN, LWX, and Crisp and say, dонести, you just stick mid.
But meanwhile, things are happening the same here in 2020 Spring, where TN first side to path is top, looking for Morgan up in this lane. And took a path over the Rift Herald so that it wouldn't be spotted by a potential tri-brush ward. So TN, not having to get into that lane, or rather wasn't able to, will go back clearing his camps.
Watch where the lane will be positioned though. Gimgoon is slowly pushing that in against Morgan because he's been using the Darkened Blades, because he's trying to trade with this Aurelia. So when Beishang finishes his third camp here and hits his level 3, as you can just see, he can go up towards that top side with Morgan freezing the wave here.
Okay, well, into the turret. At least this trade here will add a bit more pressure. Good trading from Gimgoon. Morgan at half health, Corrupting Potion used all the way, and Conqueror's available. Means Morgan has to respect this wave.
And now you should be able to crash this if you're Gimgoon. No real worry about Beishang coming up, because honestly, you just turn onto the Aurelia alongside TN.
But he wants to challenge this, runs right into Beishang. Flag and Drag is still available, but Permafrost is there. Plex right behind him with the Flash and Ignite. The Trouble Bubble is too high, and Gimgoon with his added threat in the top lane will just force away Beishang.
TN shouldn't be trying to contest these scuttles up here, though. The problem that he's going to have for the remainder of this game is Plex will have control of this mid lane when it comes to pushing, can rotate first, so everything river forward is in WE territory.
Chris going to get hooked in here. The play came through before. Rend available, Lethal Tempo now activated. Chris jebaited. Flash over the wall. Ren City, and Missing says it's my first blood.
See, LWX isn't even going to bother using the heal, knows that Crisp is going to fall, and we just said it. Everything river forward belongs to WE. Tahm Kench takes one step too far. The river is no longer for the Tahm Kench.
With a double scuttle on Sejuani, Beishang has a 10 CS lead in this jungle, and all TN can do is watch and continue clearing his walls. First back here from Beishang, net Stalker's Blade with a control ward in hand. So not too bad of a start here from WE, up 1,000 gold.
And usually what you'd like to see is FPX taking over from this jungle. Jarvan has more pressure early. Beishang will eventually win out when it comes to these team fights. But Tien can't because of Plex in this mid lane. Now because they're losing out on the bottom side as well, makes it far harder for Tien to have the impact we would like. It goes back to our story. FPX not playing to the standard we saw them last year and struggling as a result.
I mean, the World Championship team comes back and they're not the same. Meta changes, there's a lot of time off. FPX did have a lot of time off. Remember that at Demacia Cup, FPX ran their B tier squad. None of this World Championship lineup played in that event. They then came back, a week of play, 0-2, and then COVID-19 happened. And then we had a month and a half, almost 2 months off.
And you'd imagine that would give them time. You think that would give them the opportunity after that first bit to figure it out?
Here's my argument here, is that nothing is the same as an LPL stage game. You can have scrims, but do all teams really play seriously in scrims? They try new things out, and sometimes, let's be honest, they just muck about.
We cast them. Not all games are even when it comes to
We saw a
LPL.
Zed. I mean, that just tells you one thing. Yeah, we saw Knight Zed.
Yeah.
So my point is that for FPX, their stage time has been super limited, but as has everyone else's. So everyone has the same argument. And WE with this newer roster, that should affect them more. But so far, in the past couple of weeks, or the past week of returning, we have seen a much better WE that's synergizing alongside Beishang.
We're seeing it on your screen right now. Pressure all across the bottom side. Nets the Dragon for WE. Doimby, as this game goes on, will start to take over. But that's a long stretch away. Only got the crystal available at the moment. We'd like to finish off not only the Rod of Ages, more than likely a tier item as well.
Now finally has his ultimate available to run away from Trouble Bubble, but Plex still dominates the lane. Win lane, win game here for WE. We just come back to those win conditions where it does seem like WE are winning all across the board. Even that death sentence, nice. Chris will gobble him up, but the aggressive Tarm Kench Varus lane seems like it's looking like LCS right now. They're on the back foot, and FPX are trying to rush forward.
They don't spot Plex in the bush here.
Doomby here, right on top of Beishang. Aftershock with the passive from Sejuani, but wow, missing, doesn't miss the hooks this game. Plex jumps forward, burns down the Kassadin, and WE don't even lose a trade.
Missing did not hit the flay though. Wasn't able to finish off LWX in that scenario. Going to be able to pick up the blue buff, and you can see FPX already on the back foot.
Isn't it incredible how WE, with this gold lead, are pushing FPX, who were known for their early games? And this is already set up for another fight. Flag and Drag's going to come through. Tien's going to get ignited, but the burn comes through. Missing is choking down, and Tien will trade it back on top of Missing, and FPX get out.
Too far for WE, bite off more than they can chew, and it means that FPX are able to turn that around, and they desperately need to right now.
Hang on. Wow, exhaust, chains of corruption, LWX hit 6. Here comes the burn from Hail of Blades. Joe Mung should not have been there.
And in a space of a minute and a half, we go from praising Team WE to FPX answering back up that goal deficit. And now they should be able to pick up a pretty terror plate for themselves as well.
Missing is going to be here, so LWX just has to back away. But that's a kill onto the Varus. 10 CS after the wave crashes in, and Kalista nowhere nearby to pick it up. Means that Vamp Scepter turns into a Cutlass. Should see Berserker Greaves here as well.
Where does Crisp go? Bot lane is the answer right now, which means that overall, FPX are fine giving up this Rift Tower. We're going to see a replay of this play in the bot side of the map. I thought off of this play, Crisp would return to his base, start to move up towards the top side to get control on Rift, but with them moving down to the bottom side, and with this wave collapsing, it's potentially Misty who's going to roam first and help out Beishang on this big objective.
I just love on that last play that there was only enough mana for one ability, and Crisp lands it. So pretty crucial moment there. I know before you're about to talk up WE and, you know, say, well, when they have a gold lead, they normally win these games. From early game, Dagda? Would you like to tell me anyway?
Well, I was going to say See, I like when my stats get ruined. This is the second one now.
His hand signal was, no, don't talk about this. But I've actually wanted to talk about it more.
Well, yeah, Team WE have a 100% win rate when they're ahead of 15, and
Or
I'm not going to finish
this. Gimgoon's going into World Ender. There's a false duet, lands on 2, but the Flag and Drag comes in first. Easy kill here for the jungle of FPX, who now has 2 under the belt.
And a 0% win rate when they're behind at 15. So this is adding to my story.
You still got 6 minutes. That's right, for FPX to further that gold lead. And at this point, the early game set up. Flag and Drag still gets out. Trouble Bubble does connect, but how do WE follow this up? Doomby in here with the choke. The flash forward from Plex, the ignite. The coordination is there. Plex with a shutdown, but Doomby jumping in for the rest of the fight. Permafrost locks down Doomby, but he does have an ultimate to follow this up with Gimgoon already trading onto Plex. Here he comes with the flash immediately, and the Aurelia's nowhere nearby to help him out. Doomby says, jump, and I'll jump with you.
Every time dонести gets on this champion, somehow teams manage to gift across kills. 1-0-2 for the Castellan off of that play, and Morgan abandons all hope, TPs to the top side of the map because he's got to pick up that wave and can't help out Beishang.
And now all elements of the map are in a good position. The lane advantage means hardly anything anymore for WE after the Zoe started with a 10 CS lead, Meng started with a 10 CS lead, and Morgan was in a favorable position. Now Gimgun with the Phage, Kindle Gem, now dонести with this back should have the tier or the Rod of Ages so damn early.
There you go, Rod of Ages at the 11-minute mark. dонesti's going to be very happy with the way this one has gone. And again, WE tried to push their advantage too heavily and get burned. Still, this Rift Herald is up and available though, and if FPX have the opportunity, they can turn to grab that or the Cloud Drake in just a few moments.
More interested in the Cloud, it seems. Tien clearing vision, has to be careful. Trouble Bubble and Permafrost means that Tien is just dead and has no Cataclysm to follow up on the fight if anyone from FPX wants to join.
Crisp is starting to move across, looking to see if they can get control here. Plex off in the wings. This is perfect scenario for Zoe, where she's free hitting with these trouble bubbles over the wall.
But you can see what a different situation this is. WE have backed away.
Look at where Gimgun is. Gimgun's walked down for this, so Morgan, they're bigging him up saying, look, get this guy a lead, translate that to the bottom side, but hasn't got that lead, is no longer helping this bottom side of the map.
10% cooldown reduction though here for FPX early. Infernal Rift has spawned. Morgan with the turret plating as response. 120 gold, we're only on patch 10.4, but that means we're going to see a fight in the bottom lane. Chris here can only just use grey health at the end. He will die. Good ultimate combination here from WE.
This is going to be Jarvan going straight towards the top side though. Meng and Missing are going to be looking to take plates here, so then they can answer for the trade when the Rift Herald comes through. Although as I say that, Tien is looking like he's going to path over towards those Raptors instead.
Yeah, okay. He's like, nah.
He's good, he's good. He got the right call.
Meng and Missing hitting away on the turret plating here. Sejuani stays nearby to add the presence here for WE, and dонести has no sight of leaving this lane. Good trouble bubble here from Plex, and the trading. Yeah, that's about how it looks here for the Zoe in the early levels.
Well, with Beishang stealing this blue buff, this is going to be a bit more difficult now for dонести in the mid lane. Because chances are when that next blue spawns on the opposite side of the map, it'll go across towards Plex, bar some pesky jungle item shenanigans. Although, Crisp in the bottom side, I was a little bit worried there for 2 seconds that Crisp would go over at board.
That's true. But LWX doesn't have ult, so Chris was like, okay, I'm not going to take this. Instead, they're going to take the fight in the mid lane. Cataclysm's there. Flex gets the trouble bubble out to the turret. Back in for the paddle star. The Ignite helping massively as Beishang's nearby, has the Arctic Assault, but not the ultimate available. The Glacial Prison will have to wait here as Plex will just get out alive.
LWX answering on this bottom side, though, off the back timing. So now, again, we still see that even though it was WE that made the play in the bottom side to get the turret plates, well, they've been answered on LWX's side. Rift Herald is up and available, but with only 25 seconds left before the plates fall, everyone is scrambling to get the gold they can.
And look at him, he's hightailing at mid. Pings, I'm coming, here we go. dонesti's going to get trouble bubbled again. I got to say, the Castellan shield from Null Sphere, or whatever the Q is,
Yeah,
it looks like Morgana's Black Shield. They got to change that. Turret plating goes down in a second, but dонести gets the rest of it in the mid lane.
Exactly, more gold going over towards this Castellan. Missing and Beishang looking for picks here.
So hard to catch dонesti this time, right? He's got 3 stacks of the Rod of Ages and almost level 11. You have to say the Castellan you'd think in this lane would have been punished more with WE's early advantage, but this bottom lane play is rippling through, and FPX have just benefited so much from it.
Especially when you imagine that dонesti hasn't taken the cleanse. Oftentimes in this matchup, you'll see people take cleanse because of how obnoxious it can be with jungle pressure. Beishang ignores Plex, and this is something that's actually come around quite a bit. Plex is one of the lowest gold shares on any team. The only person that beats him is Rookie, but 19.8% of the gold on that team goes to Plex.
Wow.
And it's because they're not getting help from Beishang and any of the other members on the squad.
Plex doesn't have the greatest laning phase. When we look at mid laners and we say who actually comes out ahead in their individual laning phase, Plex near the bottom of that list on top of the gold. We will showcase a little bit with the trouble bubble, but again, Beishang can't capitalize. It's so hard to get Doomby with flash at this point. I want to come back to your cleanse point. I just looked across WE's lineup. Wait. No, Chris was like, I'm not dying here. I looked across WE's lineup, and everyone there essentially a cleanse would be good against.
Pretty much, but Doinby gets away with it. Nobody wants to make that move to the mid lane. This is something that we've seen teams that do prioritize mid. We even saw it in the B-roll we rolled earlier on where Chris roamed up to help mid lane.
Yeah.
If you had Missing, you had Beishang start to make these moves when Jomong and Missing were being forced back, when they weren't being forced back, he potentially could have made this play.
Fate's Call is available. Crisp is going to go ahead and QSS that one away with an early item upgrade. LWX under turret gets himself the Chains Corruption onto Beishang, who's overstayed. 2v4. Easy. Jomong even gets hit hard on the way out.
Missing needed to flash in that play, get the hook onto LWX, who was locked up. Instead, they turn onto Crisp, who still got the grey health, and now they got Tien here to help.
With Cataclysm, LWX gets ignited. Ren Spear comes through with the pierce from Jomong, but they survive. Turret stays, Doomby gets mid. WE trying so hard, and Beishang just can't get anything working.
Disastrous for WE in this early game, and now we've crossed that crucial 15-minute mark, and you can see the results. WE desperately trying to get control back in this, but FPX are very quickly snowballing.
Turret will go down eventually after the trade, but a lot taken. Tien now posturing around Morgan, but WE, they have other things on their mind. The Infernals here, they want it. Gimgoon going to be trading the top lane turret while this is going on. He has teleport, but FPX, with no Chris Bolt, they're just going to let this one slide.
And this is actually where FPX do a lot in their games, is trade these dragon objectives for the structures. Because at the end of the day, the only time that this dragon really matters is when you're getting up towards Soul Point. And FPX make sure that teams that pick up these early dragons don't have a chance to get there because they're winning elsewhere on the map. They're actually one of the teams that has only got a 42% dragon control rate, which is insanely low for a team that you'd expect to be winning.
Hey, Tom Catch.
This is the second game we've cast now that we've seen. We got the blue buff the other day as well.
Yeah. Because remember, I think it was at the end of 9 point something or other, where Tom Kench got the ability to gulp neutral. Like,
objectives, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can't eat Baron.
Neutral monsters.
Yeah, but like the red and blue buff, which I think was just such a great ad. I mean, like, I said I hate him, but I take it back. Tom Kench, he's one of the boys.
Well, that boy's got a QSS for himself here, making sure that as
really
you talked
early
about...
buy, yeah.
Look, you already talked about it. Plex, Missing, Beishang, Morgan, everyone has something that you've got to deal with. The QSS can help out with, and all he needs to do is sit beside LWX here and keep this Varus safe. So if he's able to tank that CC, that's a thumbs up, and if he's able to get out of CC to help LWX, even better.
I mean, at this point as well, remember that Crisp and LWX as the duo, they have been together for the longest time out of any bottom lane in a Premier League. Go and look it up. LWX and Chris have been around for like 5 years together. And Chris is like the big brother to LWX. This game especially, he's level 8 to his level 11. But you look at the bottom lane, Jomong is 2 levels behind LWX right now. And that's a very big deal. I mean, LWX with the kill down bottom with the trade that went before onto Beishang. A lot of experience taken by himself.
And the funny thing is, if Jomong had actually gone for this Hail of Blades, these trades would have been working out so much better for them. But
That's
because
true.
LWX is the one with these short burst trades don't work out quite as well as they were hoping.
Onto the Rift Herald now, though. FPX move up 4. Pings are going down for assistance from WE. But there's just so much control. Herald's already done. And the ability from FPX to turn from an objective to a fight is there. WE have to back away.
I love that they gave the Doinby as well. This is where we're looking at this 1-3-1 starting to set up. So if you've got Doinby on the top side of the map and he can toss down this Rift Herald at whim, well, now it makes it difficult for Plex to deal with this side lane push.
All right, we've got 2k gold though, Dagda. 20 minutes in. Now, your stat said WE, when they're behind gold at 15, they lose all their games. Not some, all of them. WE are now looking confident to take down mid lane turret. That's a bit more gold in their back pocket.
Did you just have me use my stat because you could use it at a better time?
Yeah. I did indeed. I have sniped your stat, but hey, I mean, you're coming out with some good points here today, as you do every day. Doomby, level 13 Herald's here, gets the solo gold. And that's just a quick bit of money in the back pocket.
Lex, as he walks around, though, could feel Doimby pushing on here.
He's like, is he there? Well, FPX, the rest of them are. Flag and drag flashed away from Cataclysm comes through. Exhausted is the Java, but Gimgoon has popped the World Ender over the wall. He's ready to fight. Pulling the trigger a bit hastily, it seems, here for FPX.
Look, he's only just come back into the roster. He's anxious. He's ready to get going again. But unfortunately, not able to get over the walls that are in the
While
jungle.
we're on that note, I will say this publicly. I think FPX are much better with Gimgoon than they are with Khan. Now, I know you don't have to necessarily agree with that. But Khan demands a lot of respect, but it can also go south very fast, as we saw in the first week against IG. With Gimgoon, you get Mr. Old Reliable, Mr. Consistent, that can play a quieter side of the map and still look successful.
Well, FPX as a whole are going to be going to the south part of Summoner's Rift right now. 43 seconds on the Infernal Drake. You've got Doimby pushing in.
I love how you didn't want to touch that
No.
with a 5-inch pole. You're like, I don't want my opinion on public record.
I'm new here. You've built up a year worth of respect
people
and
can still
reputation.
hate me.
I know, but at least you've got something to build on.
Okay.
I'm just starting to get myself out there. I'm not going polarizing directions for at least another 6 months.
Raz left me, and the fighting words were, be strong in your opinion. He didn't actually say that, but I feel like that was part of his message as he left me. But I tell you one thing. I mean, if we're talking strong direction, FPX either with Khan or Gimgoon have had that after the early game for WE was so damn strong. And we're at a point where, okay, we're into the mid-game now. WE are looking for more of these objectives, but 2 items coming out of the core carries of FPX. And they're teleporting for this bottom side, maybe trying to set something up.
2 teleports, both on the same ward. They will force WE back. It's on to Beishang.
Oh, he's over the wall. Miss Piggy wants to go home. Spike comes through, but it's Jarvan who secures. Tien with the dragon, Varus with the kill, Morgan with the death it seems. Gimgoon flashes forward and Crisp is coming. He brings himself, no one else. Doomby jumping forward, and that's it. Not enough mana to follow up the chase. FPX objective and kill.
That dragon sat on 380 health for so long. I thought it was going to go across, but Beishang couldn't get the smite in time. Tien does manage to pick that one up in the end. The jungler down. FPX can move in towards this top side and start to keep the pressure towards the next objective of the Baron.
Really luring WE in this series. In this game, I should say. We've only just begun. But Tien with a quick secure and a 3k gold lead now. As you can see at the top of your screen. An Infernal to boot. Infernal on this team. The burst that will come from the Kassadin will really heighten that if they get the soul.
And that's who I'm looking at. It's the Kassadin.
And he's stacking up the Rift Walk. He's stacking up the Rift Walk. He's done this 4 times already. He's running out of mana, but if he hits Morgan right in the face, that'll really stick.
I'm not so certain. Aurelia's still pretty tanky at the moment, so maybe not able to burst you out in the same way. This is why I'd actually prefer to see Morgan go up against Gimgoon. Because Gimgoon, you just trade evenly in there, but the Kassadin will beat out on the Zoe.
Now that you've said that, I want to see Morgan 1v1 Doomby. Now you had my curiosity. Now you've got my attention. He's got 10 stacks on the Rod of Ages. He's got himself a Fiendish Codex. Gromp just had the time of his life there against Gimgoon. I'm not sure what that was. But if he does go up against Gimgoon, we've got a Death Stance. We've got the 2-item Aatrox. So you're right, you're very right in that regard. We've also got ourselves a Guinsoo's Rageblade on top of LWX. So he's going to be attacking first 3 attacks. Definitely going to be coming at the speed of light.
And now working what I'd imagine is going to be the Runins next as well. In this scenario, you're going to be trying to force Beishang back. You've also probably got Morgan to contend with as well. The more people you're hitting in these fights, the better. And Jomung as well. Really short-ranged AD carry.
Yep.
So there's a chance that LWX can position to hit multiple members here.
We mentioned it before. There's been the potential of flexing the Kalista to the top lane, but Jomung picking this up, this is very much like him. He's one of the few AD carries in the LPL at the moment that are looking at Kalista with very serious intent. Kalista goes down the priority list, but it was a first pick here purely for the threat of, you know, maybe saying, well, Morgan can play this. It doesn't have to go to Joma.
We are coming back to, though, another champion that we've seen a lot more on the Rift, which is the Zoe not having the biggest of impacts.
Sure.
You called it out earlier on, 32% win rate, then proceeded to lose that game. So
we're at 30. We're at least at 30.
Yeah. And now Plex hasn't been able to get the trouble bubbles that they'd like. It's going to find it difficult as well with FPX going to be able to play the map in a bit.
Because they're confident right now. They're taking the engage. Two-man Cataclysm. Doombeat Realmorph's right on top. Missing gets Fates called away. Beishang takes the Lantern as well. I'm not sure how that works. But the Lantern inside the Fates call means WE don't get fully caught out in the end.
Still a lot used there. You've got the box down, you've got the Fates call down, and now FPX with those teleports coming up in just about another minute and a half should be able to start taking back over these sidelines.
This Kassadin, Mr. Doomby himself, Mr. Worldwide, I guess, is almost level 16. 3 items, Zhonya's Hourglass, 20 CS lead over Plex, and he only has 1 kill. But the problem is, as you stated earlier on, when we get in this 1-3-1, who the heck is going to match him? Who the heck is going to match Mr. Gimgoon?
It's one or the other that Morgan has got to deal with, but Plex is going to be on wave clearing duty for the other. So if it's Doimby going up against Plex, Doimby can actually just dive underneath the tower and look to kill this or at least force her back. If it's Gimgoon, though, it becomes a little bit more tricky where he may not quite be able to get onto Plex, and Plex has the opportunity to clear the waves. So this is why Doimby, I'd actually prefer to see him, I like him on this top side of the map, because it means that Morgan having that teleport should be on bot lane too.
Because if we come to a trade, look at what Plex is itemized. He's got the Morellonomicon, so against Gimgoon, it's going to be relatively effective with the lifesteal. You've also got the Varus as well, so all you Morello's lovers out there are going to be enjoying this one, because I think it's actually very much worth it, especially as Mr. Mark Z said. A lot about the burst here, and Plex is going to have a lot of that with the 2 items and the blasting one at his disposal.
I think I'd prefer to see the Zoe finish off her next item before she started on that Morello, though, because as we said, you're going to have Gimgoon off in the side lane. You're not really going to be going up against him in an awful lot of situations.
Okay.
So I think realistically looking for the burst around these objectives that FPX are going for could have worked out a lot better, but we've stuck with Plex on the Morello and it's going to have to come into use now.
In front of the Dragon Pit, he's level 15, the Trouble Bubble's zone, but FPX are hitting away at this Dragon while Doomby is positioning himself. In comes Change to the Corruption onto Beishang. He's tanky enough for now, but Gimgoon is taking care of Morgan. In front of 5 people, he now gets dragged on in, but Chris eats him up as the Dragon goes over. Gimgoon's low, but he's healthy enough here to deal with Morgan. Into the back, Beishang goes, and FPX were losing this fight until Doomby jumps in. Watch the Kassadin go. He's onto 1, he's onto 2, and he's onto missing again. Stop
the
Doomby Kassadin, because he's just going to take it all. Pentakill for Doomby on this Void Walker.
And it was only a matter of time, it felt, before Doimby took over this game. He hits level 16. He tears through everyone, and now he's looking towards the base.
I mean, they spied it early. They're trying to rush this Baron down. Doomby, by the time he gets to the inhibitor, should have Baron, but the death timers are so damn low. I think he gets this, he walks away, and FPX have just taken this map wholeheartedly here in Game 1.
And this is what I love about FPX. When they go and take the objective you think isn't the big deal, they get the Infernal Drake, they get the top inhibitor, and a Baron to boot.
6-0. Another pentakill. We've had like 5 or 6 pentakills.
Yeah, it's been a bit silly.
In the period of a week. It's been incredibly silly. He goes back and buys a Void Staff outright. Let's watch this again, because he hops in at the start while Dragon gets done.
So look, Gimgoon does a lot of the work here, where the big ultimates are used to try and take out the Aatrox, which means when Doimby does eventually join this fight, there's none of these available to actually lock him down, and that's the big crutch for Impossible, is how freely can you move in these fights. And in this one, Doimby's rift walking right, left, and bloody center before finishing off Plex for the pentakill.
Oh my lord. Add another stat into the mix. I think he already has like 5 pentas. That'll make it 6.
The
Level 17, yeah. He's got flash as well. He didn't even use it in that engage. Who needs flash if you're a Kassadin? Because at this point, he pulled up a full item. He's in the side wave with Baron, threatening the inner turret while now coming up for the fight.
An item and a half ahead of his lane
Chain
opponent.
disruption here from LWX though. Let's fight again, they say. FPX want to put the nail in the coffin. In runs Tien, but that just threatens away WE from the inner turret. Cassidy moves to the bottom lane. Doomby's going to go at it again, while the rest of FPX look towards the inhibitor.
I feel sorry for whoever has to go up against Doinby in this bottom lane. You're not going to be looking forward to a pretty sight. Although Doinby might look to join mid and see if he can flank here.
But you can't stop him. He's going to disappear. Ready? 3 people. Missing. Missing. Run. Missing. Run. Missing. Stop it. In goes Doomby into 1v4. He's already picked up one, and you know he's going to get out. There's the permafrost, the Ren. He jumps back in. He's hopping. He's jumping. He's collapsing. As the rest of FPX just say, ha, we got the rest of it, Doomby. Don't you worry. We'll cover the bases, and FPX will slaughter Team WE in game number 1.
We tried to build them up as Team WE potentially having a chance, but Cassidy shuts that down in dramatic style.
Missing was like, I'm fine, I'm under the turret.
No, you're not. No, you're
Just
not.
jumps right back in. Well, Cassidy's success story. What do you think? The LPL through Angel, if I'm right on that one, and Doomby second time around.
And second time success. And now we're saying, hey, look, you know what? The criticism that I had of FPX prior, and a lot of other people had coming into Worlds 2019, was their late game decision making. Their mid game was their strong point, but now we're seeing them come into this and purposely picking champions that scale into the late game and beating people early to mid and then just winning anyway in the late game.
Let's bring this back to where it started. You can see there's a bit of influx of gold in the early game for WE. They had a 1k gold lead. They got first blood. They punished FPX. But the problem is with FPX is if you slip up, if you have that one error, their ability to snowball games is just so good.
And this was the criticism I had of FPX, was they were the ones making the mistakes.
Yeah.
Up until this point, it was Tien in weird spots. You'd have, Khan or Gimgoon off in these weird places as well, and it was costing them dearly. This time, though, it's a clean snowball, it's a pentakill for the Cassidy, and a celebration of Doinby and his very strange shampoo.
Yeah, I mean, it just continues going on. The dark technologies continue, right? So, with FPX, you know, I'm starting to see more of the team that came back from Worlds, right? Even though there's a difference in how they play the team, more so with the change in meta, FPX are trying to adapt. And they still technically play it around bot. It was just that bot got themselves a nice time. You know, Tom Kench they don't mind the dive.
I think that's the problem, though. I didn't want to see them play around bot. I wanted to see them play around mid. I wanted to see them smash Doinby's Cassidy into the ground, make sure he never picks it again.
Off of WE, yeah.
Well, that's not the case. WE decided instead that they were going to play towards this mid lane. Or sorry, not play towards this mid lane. Focus on the spot side for Bei Shang. Yes, they got a kill or two, but that was all turned around very quickly when it came down to it.
There's a lot to dissect in that first game, I know, and especially for the series now for WE, there's a lot of questions. We were talking about it in-game there, but for WE, obviously good performances against V5, Vici Gaming, but it is these top-tier teams like JDG, RNG, where they can't get away with the same errors. They can't get away with making sloppy mistakes like they did in that bottom side, like Bei Shang going for the dive against Tom Kench and Varus, LWX, and Crisp. Because you don't get away with it with FPX. They punish and they continue to snowball. And there's nothing you can do from that point when Doomby has such a free lane because everyone else is somewhere else.
And you nailed the analysis. There's nothing else to say here. It was Doinby game. He was left to free roam. And that was the biggest problem here. And yes, once Tien was able to turn this little bit back into the favor of the bottom lane, well, that was neutralized. You'd Gimgoon doing what Gimgoon does best, shutting down Morgan in the top lane, making sure he wasn't able to make the plays happen. And Team WE don't get a foothold in this game despite a good start.
Nope, but Doomby does squash them.